Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Zeno here, and Oscar too. Today we're going to be going over the update to the Deadeye, what is it? Self-cast Magma Orb build. I got myself a level 21 Magma Orb since we last made a video. I'm level 90 now. Still only have a 5-link pledge. Feels bad. Trying to 6-link it. In fact, we'll see if I'm able to. I have a +2 to additional chains on Magma Orb. Level 21's another +1. I'm Gloomfang with a life gain on hit to spells. Got Cloak of Defiance. Sitting at 1400 open mana with 40% Mind Over Matter effect with 5400 effective, or 5400 life with 1400 mana. So we're doing pretty good. We're about just over 7k effective health, I'd say. With that said, I just hit level 90 and I wanted to make a YouTube video for you guys. I'll show you what's going on and I'll explain what's up during the video. Let me get more of a straight line map. Or let's do... Did I have any more of those belfries? Doesn't seem like it. Shipyard, Crypt, Precinct, Arachnid Tomb. This is a good one. So let's do this. I don't want it to be too disgusting. Hopefully nothing too bad. I do play hardcore, so... Vulnerability is a little rippy. Alright, Oscar, you can't lay on the mouse pad. Like, it doesn't work that way, buddy. Alright, so here's a tier 10 map. I'm level 90. I will explain the build entirely when we get out. And if you did not see, I put out a YouTube video of this build before. So this is the update to it. T5. So I have a upfront damage now. I have my Uber Lab done. My upfront damage comes from Ricochet. I get 10% more damage for each remaining chain. So if I have 8 remaining chains, that's 80% more damage, and when it bounces, it becomes 70, and then 60, so on and so forth. And that's a multiplier to damage. Now I also have a back-end damage. So we have my front load from Ricochet, which is my Ascendancy, and I have my back-end comes from Gloomfang, which gets 20% of my non-chaos damage, extra as chaos damage, for each bounce, for each chain. So if we have 8 chains, when it's on the last one, we'll have 160% increased damage as chaos. So either which way, we'll have front end or back end damage. This is a really weird Arachnid Tomb. It's usually just like a straight line. This one's like having me go all over the place. And that's okay. So the idea behind this build, if you didn't see my first YouTube video, was Tailwind is a 1.2 multiplier to all things tag speed. You get Tailwind for being the Deadeye Ascendancy. Essentially, the more actions per second you have within 4 seconds allows your Tailwind to go from 1.1 times cast speed to, in this instance, 1.2 times. So this is a multiplier to cast speed paired up with Pledge of Hands, which is level 30 Spell Echo, which is another 1.8 times. It's a more cast speed multiplier. So this is the first time in the game, to the best of my knowledge, with the exception of maybe like Acceleration Shrine, where we've had like a compounded multiplicative cast speed multiplier. And I wanted to see, you know, what spell would be best for Deadeye to accomplish this with. And I came to the conclusion that Magma Orb, because there's all these chain gimmicks, and with that said, you actually get quite a bit of damage for however remaining chains you have. So I picked this up. It gives me +1 chain and 10% more for each remaining. So if you throw one right away, you get 80% more damage with the amount of chains I have. Tailwind is the multiplier to attack speed, cast speed, movement speed, all things like that. And I get my 4th projectile here with 50% area of effect. And oddly enough, these are 40% increased proj damage, so it's not entirely useless. And the accuracy is pretty good too, considering I get 200 flat here, a little bit of accuracy here and here, and that makes it so my Fortify can actually hit with my Charge Dash. Charge Dash is my movement skill because it just works with, you only need movement speed to make it fast. And this is just simply applying Fortify. If you look, this AoE around me, it's pretty wide, because I have so many area of effect modifiers. It allows me to keep up Fortify pretty easily. Let's keep going. Let's do another map, because this is quite possibly the fastest build I've ever made. It's this or Knowles from 2.0. I'm not sure, but I am having a blast with this. So, Gloomfang gives me +1 chain, Ricochet gives me +1 chain, and as I mentioned, we have the upfront and the back end damage. It's pretty nice. Deadeye works out quite well with the level 30 Spell Echo because it's just the highest more cast speed you can get in this game, which means I've been going out of my way to just pick up as much increased cast speed as I can and as much movement speed as I can, because that's also multiplied. Allows me to be a pretty versatile caster as well. My biggest complaint about this build, I would say, is I am so fearful of Detonate Dead. I've died to it so many times in PoE, and it's not a Detonate Dead resistant build. What else is that's pretty spooky about this build? Porcupines. I haven't had any too big of scares against porcupines because I'm generally speaking paying attention, keeping up my Fortify, my Basalt Flask, hiding behind things. You have it. Doesn't matter. Whenever I see those things, I get scared, but if I'm not paying attention, I definitely can get spooked down. Oh, there we go. +1 map. Feels good. Currently running tier 9s and 10s. The highest I've done in this character is tier 10 maps. And it's pretty nice. If there's any like straight line map, like I did a race course earlier from a Zana mission, holy hell, this build did really well on that map. All I had to do was throw a few and just run forward. That was it. So I'm looking forward to doing that map again when I get into red maps. Here's the temple boss right now. Not bad, not bad. If you can land the double dip, where one bounce and it bounces over them and then it hits them again, where you can get 2 hits. Essentially, when it bounces, it resets, allowing you to AoE overlap. Pretty damn strong. I need slower proj. That is my last link here in my Pledge of Hands. Once I'm done with this map, I'll 100% go over everything. I figured you guys would appreciate 2 maps, considering how whenever I make these YouTube videos, I usually do just 1 map. But, like I said, I finally have a super fast clear speed build, man. Deadeye. Feels good. Deadeye, seriously, that's all she needed was some type of movement speed buff, and they gave her that, and then some. Alright. Give me that, and give me that. Alright, and that's this map too. So let's talk about this build. So Cloak of Defiance gives me 1% of my mana regenerated per second with 140 flat mana. This chest does really well with Pledge of Hands because Pledge of Hands gives 100% increased max mana. So you have the multiplier to mana and then you have the flat mana. So with that said, I ended up purchasing this ring. I got it for 37 chaos, which is a complete and total steal. And this isn't hardcore, mind you. It has perfect life roll, mid-tier on the strength roll, high mana roll, but the big one that shines here is the 13 life gained on hit for each enemy hit by my spells. So life gain on hit to spells is entirely rare, and it completely counters the lose 10 life on hit for each spell from that of Gloomfang. Gloomfang has some chaos leech, and as it bounces you get more chaos damage, so eventually you get a pretty hefty amount of leech. However, the leech is not enough to sustain the lose. When you have this many chains and this many casts per second, you end up killing yourself. So I needed a way to negate that. Also, this 58% mana regen on this ring, it ends up being pretty huge considering I take off the implicit on this Gloomfang for +1 Frenzy. I would consider +1 Curse or +1 max res as better than +1 Frenzy because Frenzy is not the star of this build. It's just a little bit extra cast speed and damage for clearing. And if I can kill the boss quick enough, I can keep on my Frenzy charges. I'm still using Temporal Chains on hit gloves. I switched over from Asenaths to these, and I could look on the market to see if there's better ones, but these are pretty damn good. Just high life, high mana, a little bit of res, temp chains. +2 chains to Magma Orb. I ended up buying this helmet for 61 total chaos. As is, as you see it, I put the mana on myself, that's about it. This is one of the most expensive things in your build is the helmet enchant with a proper helm. You need the +2 chain here, the 1 chain here, the chain from Ricochet ends up being quite a bit. And then level 21 Magma Orb will give you another +1 to chain. So those are all the sources of chain in which I have. What else is there that needs to be talked about? Oh. This guy right here, I cannot tell you how overpowered Tailwind is compared to everybody else's adrenaline type buff. Everyone gets this like self-centered class buff. Tailwind is just so strong. It multiplies your action speed, your recovery. You know how insane that is? You don't ever get locked in place. It's just beautiful. And I got nothing but love for this. Like, seriously well designed. GGG. Things I need to work for in the future. So my 7 link will be slower proj. Currently I have Magma Orb, Controlled Destruction, Elemental Focus, Fire Pen, and Faster Casting. My 7 link will be slower proj because I have level 30 Spell Echo, part of this staff. So technically it's much more than a 7 link with that level 30 Spell Echo. What else do I need? I need a Stygian Vice. Oh. Excuse me. It's been a long night. So a Stygian Vice, obviously you can get 40 life on a jewel, so as nice as leather belts are, I need to replace this with a Stygian Vice. I'm still using a Basalt that removes curses. I would like to go down to 1 flask eventually, but I get bursted pretty hard, so until I get more life, we're pretty much stuck with what I got here. Considering I'm wearing this piece of gear doesn't have any life, as well as Cloak of Defiance. Let's see. Yeah, that's about it for things that don't have life. I guess my staff does too, so by that logic I'm not wearing a shield. These do take place of mana, which allows me to have a lot of effective health. I've thought about replacing this with Essence Worm to have more open mana. I'm not sure if that's worth it though, because this is pretty hefty on life, mana, res. This is pretty hefty on life, mana, has a little bit of res and a bunch of, you know, useful stats. I think I might just keep it as is because I'm already wearing Gloomfang. Gloomfang and Essence Worm would really hurt my effective health. So where am I at with my build? In terms of progressing on the tree, I don't have much else. I got these 5 points right here, and then I got these 3 points right here for more cast speed and mana regen. That's honest to God it. So if you are interested in trying this build out, you can do you could look down below to see my profile, and if you're on Twitch, you could do !profile at any point in time to take a look. The hardest part about this character, I did level with Magma Orb from level 1. If you cannot afford a Tabula Rasa, you can use what's it called? Reverberation Wand into Amplification Rod. And you can wear that until you get Pledge of Hands. That is a suitable 6 link if you cannot afford Tabula. If you do have Tabula and you choose not to use those wands, I completely understand. Instead, you can use... What the hell is it called? Is it the Millborough? I use this thing. I use this Trapper Staff. Oh, never mind. Trapper Staff PoE. Did I misspell it? Meyerball. Not even close. Not even close. I used this. I completely ignored the trap stuff, and I just said, oh, okay, 50% damage, 20% life, 20% mana. It's like Pledge of Hands before Pledge of Hands, you know? It's spell damage. Instead of spell damage, it's life. Instead of 100% mana, you get some life and mana, which is perfect. Good to go. No spell echo, but I didn't mind. Shoot. So that's what I used to level. If you don't want to go Amplification Rod and you want to go Tabi Ross instead, you could do that. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. In terms of progression on the tree, this is how I did my build. I came straight out, went up. I did pick up Charisma for leveling, and I later dropped it once I had enough mana to sustain. I dropped this when I picked up Mind Over Matter as well. So you can use this for early leveling once you start picking up haste. Straight up, beeline through all of this. Once I got here, I got Blast Radius, Heart and Soul, Cultist Dominion, and then I made my way over to Cruel Prep and Heart of Flame. I picked up Deep Thoughts later on. Soon as I got here, I picked up Inevitability 1 and 2. This gives me lesser multiple projectiles for 2 jewel slots. And it also gives me bonus AoE per chain. So as it chains, I get 20% increased AoE. So eventually at the very end, I have such a massive AoE on my Magma Orbs. Let's keep going. I came over this way, picked up Quick Recovery, Elemental Overload, and then I went Mind Over Matter. I avoided this entirety until deep into maps. Instead, I scooped up Purity of Flesh, and I went into everything Templar. I went down to Elementalist, Amplify, to Discipline and Trading, Sanctity, Devotion, and then I picked up these guys. And then I made my way back over to Explosive Impact, as well as Nimbleness and Precision. Once I had all of that set up, then I made my way down, picked up this jewel, and the rest is history. So where I'm at now is 5 more life nodes, and then 3 more cast speed nodes, essentially. If I don't want the cast speed nodes, which I'll probably end up getting anyways, I'll go for melding. I'm level 90. This is the fastest build I've ever had to 90 to the best of my knowledge. Null's Inclination would give it a good run for its money, but it died at 89, so I can't really compare. The only other build I would say that could probably keep up with this build speed that I've made is my Nebulok Pathfinder from last league, and I love that character. If you have any questions about this build and the items I'm using, again, you can take a look at my profile, or you can come to my live stream on Twitch. If you toss me a follow, it tells you when I go live, or it'll even tell you right here while you're watching this. That's all I have to say. Thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate your guys' continued support. I'm out. Cheers.